Well, we've just finished our Queensland Disaster Management Committee meeting. What we can say is that this severe weather system that started with Cyclone Debbie and is tracking down the coast is causing havoc across our state. And I want to talk to the families at home at the moment, or listening on their radio or driving home in the southeast of our state at the moment. I need you to do exactly what our families did when Cyclone Debbie crossed the coast. I need you to stay indoors. I need you to stay off the roads. We have not seen the worst of this severe weather system in the southeast of our state. We are going to see heavy rainfalls. We are going to see thunder. This is a severe weather event. That is why we took the unprecedented step of closing all of the schools today. I apologise for any inconvenience, but I do not apologise for putting the safety of Queenslanders, families and children front and centre. That is why the schools will also remain closed tomorrow. This is a severe weather event. If you have plans tonight to go out, to see friends, to see neighbours, to travel, please do not. Stay in your home. This is for one night. I need our roads cleared. We are already seeing a lot of flash flooding happening across the southeast. We expect we could see a lot more over the coming hours into this evening and also into the early hours of tomorrow morning. Please stay indoors. I need to have the roads cleared for our emergency services personnel if they do need to go to the assistance of people. I also want to reassure Queenslanders that have experienced the full force of Cyclone Debbie up north that we are with you as well. I travelled to your region yesterday and I saw firsthand the damage that she has inflicted on our beautiful towns that have now been devastated, and help is there. We're getting the water supply in that's needed, but having travelled to that area yesterday, I can tell you that there is severe weather conditions that are hampering that effort, and as soon as it is safe to do so, we will. I'll hand over to Matthew from the Bureau to give an update, but I do want to say that the Police Commissioner, Ian Stewart, has made some very serious comments today about people remaining off our streets, off our roads, and also Commissioner Carroll has talked extensively about if it's flooded, forget it. If there is rising waters on the roads, do not go through them. Parents, please keep your children safe. Keep them next to you, know where they are. We cannot afford to lose a single life through children playing near drains or risking their life by going into rising floodwaters. It is not worth the risk. The safest place for families to be over the next 24 hours is in their homes. Okay, I'll ask Matthew to give a briefing.
Okay, the situation as it currently stands, we're looking at the back edge of the system currently moving through Bundaberg, so rain should be easing through there now, and it is continuing to track to the south and east, and it is clearing the weather from the north. So that will continue into the evening. We are still seeing heavy rainfall well to the south of Bundaberg though throughout that whole region. Already in the last 12 hours, since midnight to midday, parts of Brisbane have seen in excess of 200 millimetres. Inala has seen 205 millimetres. In the Gold Coast hinterland, Springbrook has seen 380 millimetres. And we do have this the final heavy burst of rainfall and winds still to come during this evening and overnight before we do see a clearance through Brisbane. Still looks to be around about midnight and off of the Gold Coast and all of Queensland by about 3 a.m. We are still expecting some damaging wind gusts with this system as it moves down, particularly near the heavy rainfall in that back edge of that clearance band. And so that area, particularly in coastal zones, we could see these destructive wind gusts in excess of 125 kilometres per hour. Current areas where we would be concerned about those sort of wind gusts are about the Wide Bay. So people in those areas, particularly if you're near the coast, need to just be aware of that potential for the next few hours. And those sort of wind gusts will track with this band of heavier rain into the evening down into the southeast, particularly along those coastal zones and the elevated terrain. Of course, flooding is ongoing. We are seeing flash flooding across the southeast, and these heavy rainfall periods that are occurring will lead to further flash flooding. We already have water in all the creeks and river systems, and any further heavy rain will continue to lead to flash flooding. Flood warnings, we have various flood warnings across the southeast. I recommend for your local area, please go to www.bom.gov.au and check your flood warnings for your nearby rivers and creeks and streams. We are seeing some major flooding already occur in the Albert and Coomera rivers around the Gold Coast, and some significant flooding in smaller creeks around Brisbane as well. So I'll leave it there and pass it back.
Just in terms of the Springbrook rainfall, it's already had 380 millimetres. Will it get over 500 then by the time the worst of it comes through, do you think?
It could potentially, yes. Wouldn't surprise me.
Any other sort of totals like that around the southeast?
Yeah, look, as I said, parts of Brisbane have already had 200 millimetres in the last 12 hours. There's a potential for quite a bit more. So we could be getting some locally higher totals, but on average, we're still sticking with the 200 millimetres over the southeast.
On dams at the moment?
Yeah, look, obviously we're getting inflow for dams. I might actually refer that to the dam operators.
Yeah, look, so far we've seen North Pine go up from 51 to 55%, Wivenhoe's at 69, and we've got Somerset at 70. So we've still got about 20% flood capacity in both Somerset and Wivenhoe, and of course Wivenhoe can go well beyond that in terms of its temporary flood storage capacity. So far we're in good shape. We've got to see what the rain does over the period of time coming for the rest of the day.
Any time frame on that magic 90% when the gates would have to be opened at Wivenhoe?
It really depends on how much rain we get and where it falls. Until that happens, we don't know. But we've got Seqwater, we've got all their people working on this, modelling the data as it comes in. We are watching it very closely. We know people are watching this very closely, and we're doing everything that we can to make sure the modelling is there to give us the best decisions possible.
Oh, Commissioner.
Thank you. Thanks, Premier. In one way, sadly, this system is acting exactly as we were advised in the early hours of this morning by BOM. It's not over. We see the maps, we see the charts with the heavy rain and the wind squalls that are in the back end of this system gradually coming down the coast. We've had personal briefs from mayors up in central Queensland and heading down to the south about what's occurring there with significant rain, quite strong winds, and water now cutting roadways from Gladstone south. This will ease off from the north, but I can't emphasise enough, we cannot allow our communities to become complacent about this. There will be the waves of wind and rain, very, very heavy rain, that the BOM has predicted coming down all the way to Brisbane, and we're going to go right through the night till the early hours of tomorrow morning until this system goes out to sea as predicted. I'm very grateful to the way the community of Queensland has reacted over the last week, and particularly in the last 12 hours or so, where very difficult decisions were made in the absolute best interests of our entire community. Thank you for doing what was needed. Now we just need people to be patient, stay safe, look after themselves, their family, their neighbours in particular, particularly if they are infirm or elderly, and keep listening to the official warnings and predictions that are occurring as we speak.
Commissioner, we're seeing images of people jet skiing in flooded waters, bodyboarding on dams in central Queensland. Do they face any penalties if the police can get hold of them?
Patrick, yes, they can, but then we're putting extra people, in other words, emergency services personnel, at risk just trying to get to these people. I'd ask everyone, be safe. Doing these things, if they have an accident, if they come adrift, so to speak, and they require rescuing, that's an avoidable action, meaning that it's about putting emergency services personnel in harm's way for while it's good reason, it's an avoidable reason. So we'd ask them to think about that. They may be taking emergency services personnel away from a very, very important job. So,
Commissioner, what was the advice that police and emergency services got from BOM, and has the strength of the storm in the southeast taken you by surprise?
Certainly, as of yesterday, there was different advice to what we got this morning, but that's the nature of this beast. I am so grateful that we have professionals like we have in the BOM right across this whole country, not this state, who are able to analyse, predict the weather as best they can. But there are just so many variables, and we've seen this over the last few days as Debbie has come across the Queensland coast. And as you saw, I mean, even with the best predictions, you saw the track that Debbie took. We could have had Debbie right over the top of Mackay. We didn't. It went north of Mackay. But BOM does their absolute best to keep us informed in a timely way, and that's exactly what they've done. And the predictions and the information that they've provided since the early hour this morning has not changed. It's coming true hour by hour that we're seeing this, the remainder of this system coming south.
Commissioner, would you like to see public servants, non-essential public servants, stay home again tomorrow as they are today with the schools closed?
My understanding is tomorrow will be quite a different day. We're likely to have reasonable weather, although I also understand from BOM that could mean that we have high winds, particularly in coastal areas tomorrow. But look, that's for the experts to say. I'm just interested in getting us through the next 12 or so hours until this system crosses over the coast and gets out to sea. But until then, we have a very high-risk, dangerous situation for community.
Have you got any update in terms of rescues that have had to be performed in southeast Queensland at this stage?
I'm very happy to hand that over to Commissioner Carroll. She can speak to that.
Thank you, Commissioner. Yes, we have had some close to 40 swiftwater rescues in this part of Queensland, in the southeast corner. Those figures are already about an hour and a half old, so I expect that number would have increased. We do expect, obviously, that with flash flooding, so can I please just reiterate everyone's message here today. This will continue throughout the evening and into the night. If you can avoid being out, please do so. Please stay off our roads. Whilst we expect this, it's a very dangerous job, as you can appreciate, to go into flooded waters for anyone, even those who are expert at that role. So please, where it's unnecessary or you can avoid it, please stay off those roads and keep away from that drainage and away from the water.
Are you able to give any more detail around some of the rescues that you've performed so far?
Well, it's the usual. It's people caught in the flash flooding. And that's the biggest thing that happens. It comes up so unexpectedly. People are actually caught in that rapid water. So that's why the message is always, if you can actually avoid being out there, that would assist us greatly. But please don't put yourself in harm's way. And we've already heard a couple of examples of that this morning, because you're unnecessarily taking those precious resources, away from other jobs. We have got substantial staff on the ground. We pre-deployed and pre-positioned. We've got assistance from interstate. So be confident that if anything does occur, we'll react and respond immediately. But where it's unnecessary, please stay off the roads and keep away from those flooded waters.
Any reports of injuries in the southeast yet?
We haven't received to date any reports of injuries. We certainly have not seen a spiking of 000 calls, which is very, very pleasing to this stage. But has been indicated a number of times, we have quite a few hours to go, several hours in fact, before we're out of the worst of it.
What about SES calls?
We've had across the state some 3,000 SES calls, and we finalised 1,300 of them. Sorry, that's in the central region. As of about an hour and a half ago, there was already 500 in the southeast corner. That would have substantially increased by now, but certainly I expect them to rise throughout the evening as well. Thank you.
Mr. Bailey, up in the north now, power is going to be a problem because it's pretty clear now that transmission towers are down.
Yes and no. The transmission towers that have gone down will not affect supply. It has weakened our system, but because of the nature of the system up there, we're able to route supply by other means. So that's the positive news out of this. We do have still access issues, although we're seeing the sky start to clear in North Queensland. So as we see less and less rain, we'll see the floodwaters start to recede, which will allow our power crews to get into some of these locations. We've had some successes getting generation units put into, via the air into some of these areas. But of course it is much better if once the roads are clear, the power workers will be in there straight away. We've got 900 of them, some of them doing fantastic work, others just raring to go to get in and do the work that needs to be done.
Premier, was the school closure decision discussed at last night's disaster management meeting? And if so, why wasn't the decision made to shut the schools last night to give parents more notice?
The decision was made this morning based on the best advice that was coming to us from the Bureau. And that advice was that the severe weather was going to be happening later on this afternoon. And what we didn't want to see is people out on the roads going to pick up their children, putting their lives and their children's lives at risk. I've been advised that all of the children from our state schools have now gone home, and I thank the parents for picking their children up and getting their home to a place of safety. This decision was made in the best interests of the safety of families. The safety of families. And we are now making that same decision for tomorrow because we simply do not want to put our people's lives or people's safety at risk.
Will the same message be for public servants as well tomorrow, that non-essentials stay home?
I'll be having some further discussions about that as well. Once again, this is to do with the weather system. Who would have thought that such a severe Category Cyclone 4, Cyclone Debbie, would have done so much damage to our state? But we have amazing emergency services personnel. We have the assistance of the ADF and the Navy, with HMAS Melville having arrived in the Whitsunday Islands to deliver necessary supplies. But what makes Queensland stand out, I believe, is the ability of our people and our community to work and listen and come together when we go through significant times that really test us. And today I'm asking one thing. I'm asking people in the southeast to stay home, to stay indoors, to allow these amazing men and women behind me and out in the field to be able to do their job. The waters are rising around creeks and we are getting information out to people as soon as possible. Please listen to your media outlets. It is very important today that you do this for the safety of your family. So these decisions are not made lightly. They are made because we are facing severe weather. You only have to look at that map behind us on the wall. This is a severe weather system. It has travelled almost down the length of most of our coast, from Bowen all the way down to the border, and will continue into the New South Wales.
Do we have any update on the actual number of students that this is affecting and how many schools?
It's over 1,000 schools, but once again, this decision was made in the best interests of families, of safety of families. We do not want them on the roads this afternoon picking children up at a time when the weather event, the severe weather event, it's only going to get worse. So it's going to get worse this afternoon and into this evening. And that is the advice. I have to listen to the advice of the experts. And as Premier of this state, I will always take that advice, and I will always put Queenslanders and Queensland families front and centre of any decisions that I make.
As that system tracks south, does it mean Central Queensland schools will reopen?
We have got the full list on the website, but it's all the schools that have closed today will remain closed tomorrow. Okay, thanks everyone.